Okay, so Disney really looked at Treasure Island and said, you know what this needs? Space pirates. And honestly, it's kinda genius. Treasure Planet is that weird 2002 movie your cousin wouldn't stop talking about. But is this a hidden gem we all slept on? Or did it flop for a reason? Grab some cookies from the cookie jar and pour yourself some Kool-Aid. We're watching another movie at Grandma's house. Hello. Please come in and make yourself comfortable. I'm your host, Isaac. Hey, you hugged me back.
Hey, this is Seth. Stay out of trouble, you old scallywag.
It's great to see you, Seth. And what is Grandma putting on today?
2002's Treasure Planet.
Okay, so this is a reminder. If you have not seen this film, we are going into spoiler territory. So from here on out, consider yourself warned. Before we jump into this, let's get a little more information on this film and some film facts. So Treasure Planet was released back on November 27th, 2002. It is now 23 years old. It had a budget of $140 million, but the box office, $109.6 million. Looking around at some reviews, we have IMDb with a 7.2 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes, 68%. Letterboxd sits at a 3.9 out of 5. Currently, as of this recording, you can watch it for free streaming on Disney+. It stars Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Martin Short, Brian Murray, David Hyde Pierce, and many more. It is in association with Walt Disney Pictures. And last but not least, we gotta hear how Grandma is going to rate it.
Granny's family-friendly rating for Treasure Planet is a B for animated violence.
So there you go. And if you've seen this film, we'd love to hear your thoughts. So feel free to comment down below your rating and memories with Treasure Planet. But let's start with you, Seth. Again, 23 years this was released. I'm really interested. What are your first memories?
So I've been racking my brain trying to recall if I have even seen this movie. The funny thing is that I'm really familiar with some of it. So it's like I have zero recollection of the main plot, and then some scenes stood out to me, and the songs were familiar for some reason. I don't know why.
It's like the time, right? Goo Goo Dolls, we'll probably talk about the soundtrack, but yeah, Goo Goo Dolls is kind of like, it put me in a time capsule back during that late 90s, 2000s. And I want to say, I don't think I saw this as well when it came out. Now, I saw it years later, so I have seen this one. I do recall seeing it. My wife loved this movie, so that was when I actually watched it, but that was many years later. I don't know what it is. I can recall the ads, the trailers for this film, and I thought it looked pretty cool. I guess I was just too cool for school. I mean, I was like teenage years by this point. Something. I can't tell you though, but those are kind of my first memories when I look back on it. So with that said, I'm really interested. What were your expectations going into watching this?
So honestly, I had none going in. I was completely fresh.
Oh, I can't wait to hear your thoughts because I love those. When you don't have any expectations, you can just, oh, this is going to be awesome. I cannot wait. For me, like I said, I watched it. It's been a few years, I want to say, that I watched it and I was just looking forward to as normal, seeing what my kids thought of it. But I recall enjoying it. So I was just like, I hope this holds up. I want it to be as good as I remember it because I remember having a good time with it. Well, before we jump into a plot rewind, let's pause just a moment to hear from our sponsors. Hey, love movies as much as we do? Then bring the experience of the theater to your walls with movieposters.com. Whether you're into the classics, the blockbusters, or indie gems, they have something for every single film fanatic. As a listener of our podcast, you can save up to 15% on your order right now. Just use code Grandma's House at checkout. Head to movieposters.com and let's build your ultimate collection today. All right, it's 23 years ago, so Grandma probably has the VHS. Let's do that. Let's get the VHS out. Let's take it out of the cover, put it in the VCR, and press play.
Jim Hawkins, a young man, receives a map from a dying pirate and begins a journey in search of a grand treasure. Sit down and grab a snack as we watch a sci-fi version of Treasure Island.
Oh man, this is such an impactful movie to me. Like, I can't describe how cool it was. The opening to the animation, I was drawn in immediately. I don't know what it was. It was just so cool. Maybe that's the sci-fi in me. I wouldn't consider myself like a sci-fi nerd, but I do enjoy it. So you're talking about this timeless classic of Treasure Island and sci-fi. It's like, sign me up. Like, this just drew me in right away. But I'm really curious. I got to hear, what are your first impressions as you're watching this film?
So I had to watch this one twice because the first time I watched it, I wasn't really sure what I just watched. And it was a very unique story. Funny, though, is it's an adaptation of an old school story. So it's classic. So it's kind of different. My first impressions were, this is a unique film.
That's a great way to put it. It's unique. And I don't know if this is a fun fact, stepping on your toes, but from what I recall, the directors, they worked on a lot of Disney movies, and they continually went to Disney and said, we want to do a Treasure Planet. It's our version of Treasure Island. Disney kept shooting them down. They worked on all the other movies, just 90s, just think Disney. They had their hand in some of those movies in some shape or form. Disney finally let them do this, and that's what it feels like. It feels like somebody that really enjoyed Treasure Island, but they're just doing their version of it with the sci-fi, and I'm all for it. I don't know how it works. You're talking about, ships going into space. They should be on water, and it's just sci-fi. It's just, you got to take that out of the equation. Don't overthink things and just enjoy it. It's just a really cool concept. Like you said, unique comes to mind. Like, who would have thought that? Like, let's take this timeless, story of pirates and traveling and adventure, but we're going to take it all into outer space. Now you're just opening the possibilities of where that universe, where that world can go. And it's fascinating to me, like how well it comes together as you're watching it. That's what makes an impact. Now, going back to, this is taken from a novel. It follows the novel, but what did you think of the plot then overall? Because there's a few tweaks here and there if you're familiar with the source material.
So I'm not too familiar with the Treasure Island, but I did like the way the story was told. It's a very simple plot surrounding Jim, who grows up before our eyes, and you kind of see him growing into a young man and taking responsibility for things. And I thought that was a nice story.
Yeah. This is, again, a story, if you're familiar with Treasure Island, obviously, it follows it very closely. Just a little bit difference, just a little bit here and there. But that's the premise, is it's pirates. There's this legend of this now Treasure Planet, was Treasure Island. And obviously the pirates are trying to find it. What happens is Jim, the main character, he is kind of this rebellious kid. His father had left early on in his childhood. He's just going through this. And that's what I like, is we'll get to the character development a little bit more, but just his progression. Again, we've talked about character arcs. I'm a sucker for that. Treasure Planet does that very well, I think, with all the characters, not just like Jim, but that's what the premise is that there's these pirates that are after him because he's got the map. It was this other pirate that had it and hands it off to him. So it's that fun sense of adventure. Yeah.
Even the robot had arc, character arc.
Very short. Like he comes in much later in the movie. Yeah. And from my understanding, I saw the classic Disney, because Disney adapted the novel into a live action, but that was I forget how old that one is. And there's a character that robot, I think his name is Ben, voiced by Martin Short, is based on in that story of, he's just this random dweller on the island, kind of crazy. And we'll get to the characters a little bit more, but yeah, Ben is kind of crazy. So that's his premise, but he does have an arc. Like you said, that is true. And I'm all for it. If you can do it in a good way, I don't want it forced, but a good character arc when done well, I'll eat it up all day. So I love the plot. I think it's great. Just that dynamic between Long John Silver and Jim, and that dynamic of the father figure. He comes in. I guess we could just jump into the characters because, again, the plot's pretty straightforward, and that way we can always come back to it. But what'd you think of the characters?
Overall, I would say they casted well. I'll just run through a quick run through, but Joseph Gordon-Levitt did an amazing job. I loved seeing or hearing Laurie Metcalf again. She did wonderful. David Hyde Pierce is always welcome. He did awesome. And Martin Short really stole the show, if you ask me. But I was really surprised that they casted Emma Thompson. That was really great as well, and it just awesome casting for this one.
Yeah. And you're touching on characters. I mean, that sounds like a lot. That's not even the other characters that are throughout. You have a lot of side characters, and that's what makes it a fun movie is just the character dynamics of it's, again, a sci-fi pirate movie. So you're going to have your selection of pirates. I really love the character. Going back to the directors, this had to be a passion project if they wanted to make this as unique and fun of a world builder, because I was just having a great time looking at the different characters, like their design, their aliens. So now, again, you just open the book of possibilities. That to me is just still like, that's such a cool idea. Like, I got to hand it to him of, yes, this is really expanding on a great story, but it's making it fun. And there's plenty of funny parts. I mean, you have the alien that makes fart noises. Like,
sorry about that. I didn't mean.
Yeah. Of course, my kids were just dying laughing. It's like putting its arms up or whatever and going. It's great though. It's like you can't make that work in any other universe. Practically, it still keeps that like tone. Did you notice that? Like it was serious, but it also had those funny moments.
Yes, the comedy had its place, and I liked how it aided the plot and the story and the characters. And it's a very serious film, but they broke it up in a way that made it more fun.
Yeah.
And I liked that. I thought it was really well put together.
Right. The serious tone, I go back to Jim, his character, it was kind of like more relatable this time, I guess, as weird as that sounds. But he's a relatable character in that he has this sense of failure. He feels like he's going to fail. He is rebellious. He's doing all these things because he feels like his life isn't going to really amount to anything, with his father leaving kind of that part. But it's also, I think he just has that self-esteem. So the movie, he's starting to do things, and Long John Silver is again kind of taking him under his wing, kind of mentoring him and directing him. So that's one of the lessons of this movie. It kind of teaches you that you just need direction sometimes. It wasn't that Jim was like learning these abilities and he got this superpower like, superhero movies do. He had that all along, but he didn't have that figure. As much as his mother is a great support, like I love their dynamic too, he didn't have that direction, someone that could steer him in that way to get his potential. So I don't know. It makes me feel good when I watch this movie, as crazy as that sounds. When the credits roll, I'm just like, that's a satisfying way to end it as well. Like where he is doing the glide, which I've learned flying or anything like that is just amazing to me. We've talked about Rescuers Down Under. I think flying on the back of an eagle, this glider, sign me up. Like that just looks so much fun. It was amazing to see that as the ending of him putting together and rigging that together. What'd you think of that end scene? Kind of jumping ahead, I know, but that whole end sequence of him rigging it up just in the nick of time with the portal.
I mean, honestly, there's not really too many scenes that weren't just right. You know what I mean? So to go along with what you're saying, it just fit. It seemed really strong, and I can't bash this one as much as I would love to, but
yeah, it's like I jumped that because to me that was like if you're watching it in the theaters, you're standing up and cheering. I don't know, that's maybe just me, but like when the whole concept of it is that map actually is a portal that can take you anywhere, and that's why there's a whole planet of treasure from this pirate that stockpiled it. And the end sequence is, well, it was rigged, so the planet is actually going to blow up. They tripped self-destruct. But that sequence is just, it's so like full circle. I go back to that character of the beginning. He's just kind of like, I don't know what to do with my life, and I'm just going to get in trouble and do this and that, to the end sequence of he felt the weight, the responsibility of trying to save that crew that was left, and he came through. It was like he overcame that inner struggle and stuff. I might be reading into it too much. I'm going off on like this, like, but it just, I don't know. It's a feel good movie. As much as we were talking about, it does have some darker tones. You know, a few guys drift off into space, like they're going overboard. The one guy gets sucked into a black hole. But outside of that, I mean, there's a lot of good lessons and morals about that. It's just one of those rare movies that we've watched. And we've watched a few where I've also felt the same. This isn't the only one, but I'd put it up there of just, feel good because it's got a complete story to it. You just see that character arc completed. So that's just one I have to bring out. They did such a good job of character development. But throw it out to you. What else did you want to touch on as well?
I mean, you did a great job summarizing it. I wanted to. I had a quote, just one, where he says, "I'm starting to see my life pass in front of my eyes. At least I think it was my eyes, my life."
I'm starting to see my life pass in front of my eyes. At least I think it's my life.
I love that one. I love that quote. That's just written really well.
Yeah, that's again, that was from Ben, wasn't it?
Yeah, I love that character. That, to me, he stole it for sure.
Yeah. And he was important because he has his memory wiped to say it's, again, the planet is rigged to blow up at the end, even though there's all that treasure. So that's just a really cool sequence. But to see him come in later, I don't know. I think he was a good character, but they might have missed out on developing him as much as he does develop well. They kind of missed out because he's so rushed a little bit. That might be my only downside of his character, is it was just kind of thrown in, especially what was going on up to that point, because they were getting away from the pirates. Long John Silver does cause the mutiny. They turn, and then he's kind of thrown in there. But overall, yeah, he does steal the show. He kind of provides that comedic relief. I think Morph is the other cool character and kind of that comic relief. What'd you think of Morph? It's just this like creature that can turn into anything.
It was amusing. I liked part of it, and I thought a little bit was a little too much, but it was funny, and I did like what they did with them because there was quite a few gags, and it did aid the plot. And I liked the part where the character was leaving and he chose Jim, and then the guy looks back and he's like, "Oh, come on!" I really thought that was a good part, a good touch.
Yeah, because he, I guess, saved. Which I thought to myself, I'm like, how does some kind of creature like that can transform into anything need rescued? But that's the whole premise, is he rescues it and adopts it pretty much. But yeah, I'll throw in another quote. I thought it was really funny. We didn't even talk about, I think his name is Delbert by David Hyde Pierce. He does a great job of that scientist, and he's not really a fighter, but again, great character arc with him. But he says at the beginning, he says, as they say, familiarity breeds, well, contempt.
You know what they say, familiarity breeds, well, contempt. But in our case...
So there's some clever lines. It's not like out in your face as much, but outside of, Martin Short and Ben's character, but outside of him, the quotes are more just clever, but I really appreciate that. I think it goes perfectly with the tone of this film. Well, I'm interested to hear, again, this was 23 years ago, so there's got to be some good, I'm butchering that. Fun facts. Let's hear what you got.
All right. So the first one I got is the movie's look was based on 19th century oil paintings. Did you know that?
I like that, though.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. You'll love this one. This one's actually mind-blowing. This was the first feature film to simultaneously be released in both IMAX and regular theaters.
Wow. This was the first
to be released in both at the same time.
Wow. If you made that the trivia, I would not have got that.
So I got to thinking about it, and then I was like, you know what? Those IMAX movies did come out a little later. They weren't coming out simultaneously. So I think that's a really cool fun fact. That's I dug for that one. That was a good one.
This would have been crazy to see in IMAX. I love the animation in this. As much as watching it now, yes, some of it's dated. The CGI that's kind of incorporated. It's not like a perfect but the actual hand-drawn animation and the environment, it's just, I love it. That's my style. It's right up my alley.
And like you said, I mean, over time, it's going to show its age, but does it hold up as it's still good to watch? And that animation was kind of classic. It was pretty good.
I agree.
All right, my next fun fact. As of 2011, this was the biggest financial loss from Disney.
Yeah, I mean, 140 million in 2002. They were, again, going back to the animation, they put it into the animation, the CGI, 109.6 million was the box office. It's like, ooh, that is a lot when you think about it.
All right, it's time for a fun fact trivia question. I'll warn you, this one's a little bit long, but it's a true or false, okay?
Okay,
So
I'm
true
ready.
or false, you ready?
I'm ready.
So true or false, the song Always Know Where You Are, written by Johnny Resnick, frontman for the band The Goo Goo Dolls, performed that song twice in the movie, but did they use a different group on the soundtrack to perform Always Know Where You Are? True or false?
With the true or false, you feel like you want to go one way or another. I'm going to say, I'm going to say true.
Yes. So, yeah, it's true. They used BB Mac, the big popular group that was back then, on the soundtrack, and actually the music in the movie is amazing. So it really fits well. It tells part of the story for you. So it's very fitting, and just I couldn't get enough of it. Like I said, I watched it twice, and that's what really stuck out to me was the music.
Right. That's kind of interesting just to think about that someone else performed it for the soundtrack, but
yes,
it's great. I agree. I love it in the movie, and I go back to it's just the nostalgia. As much as I didn't watch it at the time, it really does make you go back, and the music is a part of that. The animation and scenes, I'm kind of like, I remember seeing trailers for it, but having Goo Goo Dolls in there, great job on who did the music choice of we got to get the Goo Goo Dolls in here. It just matches. I don't know what it is about the tone of the movie and their style. It's great. So, but hey, I am 3 for 3 on trivia. Who would have thought, right? To start season 4, I'm just got to keep it going. That's all I got to say. So thank you, good sir. You're getting this, get me on the right track. Well, before we get to our reviews, let's take a look around the net, just see what kind of reviews are out there. So Seth, what are you seeing?
All right. Our first user review is a new one. Company_of_wolves said, swashbuckling science fiction, 7 out of 10.
Okay, I agree. I mean, that's a great way if you were like, what is this movie about? That's what exactly word for word what I would say.
Space pirates. Is that going to work? Yes, it's going to work.
Very well. Yes.
The next one is a new one too. Air153 says, underrated and forgotten, 7 out of 10.
Yeah. Again, it was a flop at the box office, so it kind of got, I would say, swept under the rug from Disney. You don't really hear much about it, but I think people are starting to recognize this is kind of a forgotten gem. It's something you need to check out. I'm just going to say it. So I echo those sentiments as well.
If you like that one, you'll like this one. Cubs and Culture said, I am so glad I rewatched this. It is wonderful. 10 out of 10.
Wow. Really enjoyed it. I'm glad they got to rewatch it. That's what we encourage here on Movies at Grandma's House. You know, if you haven't seen a movie in a while, get it out. You might be surprised. It might be movies you didn't like or ones you think are good, but you've learned, I need to revisit this for other reasons to see if this holds up or not. So that's awesome. Wow. 10 out of 10. And again, if you're a big pirates and sci-fi, it's a no-brainer. Like they just nailed it. Somehow, some way, they just made it work. Well, let's get down to it. I'm going to be interested to hear. I'm going to start with you, Seth. Ask the question. How are you going to rate Treasure Planet? Are you going to take it home? Are you going to watch it at Grandma's? Or are you going to hide it in the attic?
Like I said, I watched it twice, and it grew on me. I liked the sci-fi adaptation, but it wasn't a great film to me, in my opinion. So I will watch this one at Grandma's, hopefully soon.
Right. You probably could tell I really enjoyed this movie. And when I first watched it years ago, I would probably give it a watch it at grandma's. I think it's up there in that maybe higher tier. This time around, I don't know. It just hit. It just really hit. Everything about it I got really drawn into it. Like I said, as soon as it started, I loved just the imagination that went into this film because it starts with Jim as a boy and he's reading a book and the book is interactive. It felt so like sci-fi in that universe. And again, it's still got that like pirate tone where they get on the ships and they do where it's gravity, where it pulls down. Because that's what you're probably thinking. Like, how do these boats or ships, whatever, go into outer space? It still has that sci-fi element to it. And I just ate it up. I don't know what it was. It was just like, that'd be so cool to be in that world. So I'm going to take this home. No surprise. I think you could tell I was kind of gushing about it and just really enjoy it. I want to go back because it feels like I was also missing a few things. There's a lot in this movie we didn't really touch on of the elements, the just characters. Again, there's so many characters in this and they all interact at different times. If you're paying close attention, again, you see that budget of the animation. It felt like even in the background, there's a lot of interactions from characters. That's what I would be anxious to look at, the finer details of this film. It's just really well done. Like you talked about like an oil painting. That is a great way to put it. It feels like an oil painting coming to life in a sci-fi world with pirates. Who would have thought?
I bet it was fun watching it with your kids and seeing the reaction to the Treasure Island being an adaptation to sci-fi, spaceships and things. And I bet that was fun.
Yes. Yeah. It kind of opened their imagination a little bit too. They're just kind of like, that's cool. That's cool. You know, you could tell they were just soaking it in. Yeah. I didn't really comment on them. They were kind of quiet for the most part. Like I said, this is more on the serious side. It didn't have maybe quite as much outside of the farting alien and Ben at the end. Those are kind of your funny moments. So of course they were dying laughing at those parts, but otherwise I could just tell they're really taking it in. And that's the movies I really enjoy watching with my kids it expounds their imagination. Well, there you go, folks. Another movie in the books. This was so much fun to revisit. It just hit its 23rd anniversary. Crazy to think it's been 23 years, but here we are, looking back on this film and still enjoying it today. Well, before we wrap things up, why don't we tell the good people where they can find us? So, Seth, where can people connect with us?
YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. You can email us at moviesatgrandmashouse@gmail.com. Stay up to date on all things Movies at Grandma's House with our newsletter. You also use code Grandma's House for 15% off at checkout of movieposters.com.
That's it. Yeah, be sure you're on our newsletter. We're really excited because that is where you can win a free movie poster. We do it once a month. We like to do a live to connect with you guys too. So make sure you're subscribed so you'll see when our live events come out and you'll see who the winner is for that free poster. So don't miss out. Well, that's going to do it for our time at Grandma's house. But don't worry, we will be back soon. So in the meantime, remember to be kind and rewind. We'll see you next time.